That is nasally. I've forgotten which one is out and which one is in on the mods section. I thought this was a fuzz pedal. I was wrong. This is the Crazy Tube Circuits Triptychon. It's a 3-panel fuzz. It's got boost, drive, and fuzz, and it's built around some of the most iconic circuits in guitar history. And it solves a problem that fuzz players have had for quite a long time. The Triptychon is not just a fuzz pedal, it is a fuzz system with these 3 panels that are individually controllable. It does have 4 fuzz modes: the Fuzz Face, the Tone Bender, the Tone Bender 1.5, and the Tone Bender 2.0. These are all pedals that kind of defined fuzz right at the beginning. And the thing is, those fuzz pedals work better when they're going into an already driven amp. But these days, if you've got a lot of pedals, you're probably running into what we would call a pedal platform amp. And you'd have like the Fender clean, like the Deluxe Reverb I'm using over there, or the Boss Katana clean, or something super clean rather than a dirty amplifier. And that's where many fuzz pedals will get tripped up. If you're using an amp as a transparent bass, when you plug in a fuzz, you're going to lose something. It's going to sound thinner and sometimes too crispy. The Triptychon is built to fix that, and it aims to recreate that full vintage signal chain. Fuzz and harmonic shaping and a drive all in one pedal. And as a player that's had this problem in the past, I think this is a genuinely good idea. Let's see if it's any good. This is my Gibson SG Standard. I'm running it through the Fender Deluxe Reverb over there, and clean it sounds like this. A great clean, a Fender clean, but let's kick in the fuzz. Now that sounds all right, but it is missing some harmonic detail. I'll play it again, this time with the amp section or the drive section of the Triptychon turned on. To my ears, it's adding size to the sound. It sounds okay with the fuzz going through it. It doesn't sound terrible, it's just lacking in depth. And to show you what that's doing, let's turn the fuzz off and turn the drive on. This is just the drive channel. And then clean. So yeah, there's quite a bit of drive already. In fact, maybe too much. So I'm going to back that off just a little bit and turn it back on. It's not a bad drive on its own. Yeah, that's drivey. And to give it full frontal, let's see how it does with the gain turned all the way up. So that is the basis of the reason this pedal exists. Don't put a fuzz pedal into a clean amp, put it into a slightly driven amp, and then put that driven amp in the same box as the fuzz pedal. So that's this panel for the fuzz, and this panel for the drive, and then this panel is the octave and boost. I've got it set to octave at the moment. I think I should just explain what's going on, because there's quite a few knobs and switches on there. So we'll put the guitar down for a moment and bear with me whilst I explain how to use this pedal. So the Triptychon has 3 effects in it, and they all have their own individual panel. And if you're interested, Triptychon, which I'm sure I'm butchering the pronunciation of, is the Greek word for triptych, which is a picture or painting that is in 3 separate panels. So if you've ever been to a museum or church where you've seen a painting that is sort of in 3 frames that are connected, that's what this is. It's a clever name. Over here is the drive section. We've got volume, we've got tone, and we've got drive. In the middle is the fuzz section. We've got the volume, we've got the fuzz mode, which is Fuzz Face, Vox Tone Bender, 3/2, which is the 1.5, and 2.0 tone benders. Then right at the top, we've got the level of fuzz. Then the third and final panel is the octave/boost section. Right at the top, we've got the amount of gain. Then we've got a switch to have an octave fuzz or boost. This push switch says mod, which is the modification for the octave or the modification for the boost. And then under here, we've got 2 buffer push switches. And if you have any experience with fuzz, you might know that some fuzz pedals, particularly the vintage circuits, don't like having anything in between the guitar and the fuzz pedal. So if you have, like what I've got, a tuner or some other drives, the fuzz pedal is not seeing the guitar first, which can cause problems and undesirable sounds. It's not to say they're not fun sounds, but not desirable in terms of design of the pedal. So what Crazy Tube Circuits have done, have added this anti-buffer switch, and because I've got the canvas tuner in buffered mode, I've got both these turned on at the moment. You press them to turn them off. So when it's in, it's the anti-buffer. It's making the pedal think it's seeing the impedance of a guitar pickup. If all that means nothing to you, it doesn't really matter. My advice here is to play around with that buffer switch and choose what sounds best in that moment. And finally, we've got the routing of the foot switches control. So that's a 3-way switch. And at the moment, I've got it set to XT because I'm using the XT controller, which if I do that, it turns the amp section on and off. And in this setting, that foot switch turns the fuzz section on and off, and that turns the octave or boost section on and off. If I unplug the XT switch like that, and then do that, nothing changes except the fact that you can't turn the amp section on. But if I put it here and put fuzz on, when I press this foot switch, the amp section and the fuzz will come on, and this foot switch will just operate the octave and boost. If I switch that over to there, when I use this one, it'll activate the fuzz, and this one will octavate or activate the amp and the octave or boost. For the purposes of this video, it's much simpler if I use the XT switch so I can turn things on and off independently. So now I've plugged that back in, put that back to there, and we're back to everything being independent. All right, let's have a little listen. I've prepared some riffs, some licks for you, and I'll switch guitars in a bit to put some sort of S-type on and see how it reacts for some single calls as well. But for now, I'm sticking with the SG. Let's engage the amp, and then I'm going to skip the fuzz face for now till I've got a Strat. Let's start with the Vox Tone Bender sound. Let's try that without the amp for the moment. Okay, that's quite nasty. That's better. You'll notice I've only got the fuzz about sort of 11 o'clock there. It does go a lot nastier. But it doesn't get unusable at any point. So let's push that back down and go up to the 1.5, yes. That is very addictive. The difference between that and the regular 1.0? So 1.5 is a lot richer and creamier and thicker, and it goes even thicker in that direction when you go up to 2.0. That brings me to the first thing about this pedal that you need to be careful with, and that is it is extremely sensitive to the guitar volume pot. So if you've got it whacked up on 10 all the time, like I did for about 20 years of my guitar playing career, you're not going to get the best out of this pedal because it is, whilst fun, almost too much. And backing it off can get you some gloriously more subtle results. So whilst having the guitar on 10 is extremely fun, there's a whole range of fuzz sonic palette in there when you back off the volume. And I've genuinely only been doing that for a few years, and I wish I'd done it sooner. There's a lot of fuzzes that I've owned in the past that have had secrets locked in them that I did not unlock by simply messing with the volume. You don't lose volume, you just sort of gain clarity and cleanliness and bell-like tones sometimes. Speaking of which, let's switch to the Strat. So with that in mind, let's back this all the way down. And let's go to the Fuzz Face. It is still a little hairy up there, so maybe I need to back off the gain of, or the fuzz a little bit more. For me, the Fuzz Face is not quite getting to where I want it to be. It's closer there. If I compare that to fuzz off, volume up, a very different sound. Let's have some fun with the octave and boost section. I'm also going to switch back to the SG. I was having more fun with that. Now I'm going to put this to the Tone Bender 2, then kick it in, and that sounds like this. Octave. Without. That's how much is included in this one pedal. If you're looking at this thinking, I want to get a fuzz, should I get this one? That's not the thing you're getting from this pedal. You're getting, as I said at the beginning, a fuzz system. Now, we have another octave there. This is going to be a fuller octave sound. And the noise floor is increased substantially. Oh, yes, okay. There's so much in this pedal, I don't know if I can go all the way over it. The more you increase the gain, of course, the more the noise comes up. However, let's see how wild it can get at the top there. There's no way this is going to do chords. I just had to turn that off to say that because it was so noisy. I have more to say about this, but if you haven't got all that time, there are links in the video description. If you're looking for a fuzz that is thick and meaty and has a variety of different fuzzes inside it, or you just want something that you can run other fuzzes into and use the drive on this, go for this. If you want an octave fuzz, get this. If you want something that covers a whole range of fuzz territory and you don't currently own a fuzz or don't like fuzz and you need to get something for the covers band you're in, get this. There's so much in there. It's not big muff territory. It is all those other ones beautifully. I haven't even shown you the boost section, so let's have a look at the boost. So I'm switching that over. I'm starting with that pulled out and putting that gain somewhere respectable, and we'll just boost the amp channel for a moment. That is nasally. I've forgotten which one is out and which one is in on the mods section. Octave. Octave boost. Mod off. Classic style treble booster. That is nasally as heck. Great. No, come on, baby. Okay, it's right on the edge of, I mean, it's really loud in here. I make sure to run my tube amps loud and big. It's a very rewarding sound. I hope it's coming through on YouTube. Let's click in the mod switch and have a listen to that. Ah. The temptation to just snap the neck off there was huge. It's my guitar. It's already been snapped once. That is bringing out emotions in me that I wasn't sure that would ever live again. Thank you, Crazy Tube Circuits. That's a worrying sign, seeing all three of those lights on. There is so much going on here. It is one of those pedals I could play for a very long time. This is just a small smattering of the sounds you can get from this. And I'm sure if I played it with different guitars, it would also open up other sonic avenues. In playing this, in this video, and beforehand, it is a great pedal, but I've noticed there are a few trade-offs. Number one, it's not designed for high gain. It is a vintage fuzz pedal that gets filthy, nasty, dirty, but won't do modern metal or anything like that. So although you're hearing all that gain, it doesn't tighten up for what metal players would require. Now, I'm not saying you can't play metal on it, because there's some great Black Sabbath you can do with this, but this is a fuzz pedal or a fuzz system. The other thing, you might have noticed that when you're boosting all this gain, the noise floor raises quite a lot. That is the nature of the beast. That just happens. If you don't have a noise gate or you don't like noise, then stay away from fuzz pedals and distortions. For me, the biggest downside to this is that if you're going to buy the Triptychon, make sure you have an external remote pedal. It doesn't have to be the Crazy Tube Circuits Triptychon little brother thing. It can be any amp changer that just accepts a jack cable that you can switch things with. So if you've got a channel changer for your amp, you could also use that here, or you could use your switcher if you have one that does that. To get the most out of this pedal, you need an external remote switch. You can decide if that's a negative or a positive point. And one thing I haven't mentioned yet, because I didn't want to scare off the fuzz heads, is there is not a germanium transistor in here at all. There are 6 silicon transistors aiming to recreate the sounds of germanium fuzz. And the benefits of choosing silicon over germanium is to be discussed elsewhere, possibly in the comments section. I do think it does very well to emulate, and when I say emulate, I mean with an analog circuit, it's not digital. It uses the silicon transistors to get some germanium sounds. There's a little bit of crackle, a little sort of top-end crackle when I was rolling down the volume on the Fuzz Face that I think means you can hear the silicon, or at least I can hear it I can feel it when I'm playing it. It's a little sort of hairy like that I don't think I'd get if it was germanium. God, I sound insufferable like this. What I'm trying to say is it does a really good job of sounding good, sounding like a germanium fuzz by using silicon. There will always be trade-offs when you have a multi-fuzz pedal. If you are obsessed with fuzz, you probably already have some fuzz faces and some tone benders. If you have a very small place on your pedal board and you need a selection of fuzzes, this is the sort of thing you need. We don't always have the luxury of taking a full pedal board of fuzzes to a show or to a recording session or just to practice with. That's the job of this pedal. It's not to replace those pedals, it's to introduce convenience, and that's it. Whether you're into fuzz or not, you should understand how clever Crazy Tube Circuits have been by making this, by having these 3 independent sections that when used together gives a whole fuzz system. The drive is good enough on its own. The fuzz is usable and good enough if you have a driven amp. The boost section on the Octave is wonderfully fun. But what the Triptychon really delivers is the ability to put all these beautiful fuzz sounds through a pedal platform amp without having to have an array of pedals on your board. And that's a huge strength. I love it so much, it is more versatile than some of the other fuzz pedals I own. The Triptychon is a vintage fuzz system aimed at people with a modern rig. So it's not just a beautiful sounding pedal, it's a clever pedal as well. And for that reason, my wallet's on fire. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. If you would like to buy the pedal, there are links in the video description and first comment right at the top of the comment section. And I'll see you in another video. Bye-bye. Ow, that hit my nose there.